In this video, we will be using block tags to further structure our documentation comments. So in our previous video, we used some block tags for the parameters and for our return. So let's have a look at the Java documentation comment specification for the standard doclet. And to my knowledge, and up to this point, this was the latest for JDK 23. Let's scroll slightly down to the part where it talks about block tags. So we know that they start with the @ symbol, and they are used to give extra information for our documentation. They must begin on their own line and using the @ like if you want to use the @ itself as a character, and to avoid confusion, you want to use the HTML entity, this one. So I'll make a video on this in the future. But the content of the block tag pretty much runs until it sees the next tag, or it is the end of the comment. Some tags can be repeated while others cannot. So for example, we can have multiple param block tags. However, we can only have one return. So let's have a look at our code and see what additional block tags we can add. So I'm just gonna come back to this documentation and scroll all the way down to this table that has got a combination of block and inline tags. So some of the popular ones is author, is exception, param, return, since, throws, and version. So let's have a look at what we can pick from these into our program. So at the start of our documentation comment for our class, we can add information about the author, which is pretty much the author is pretty much you specify the author of the class of the method, so you can put your first name. And for the version, this is pretty much the version of the code. So for me, let's just say this is the first version of this code, and I can add another block tag as since indicate when the feature was added. So I'm going to put today's date, which is April 5th of 2025. So here I've added 3 block tags to kind of give more structure to my documentation comments. Let's see what else I can do. So for the dynamic menu, I'm probably not able to add much. For this one, I could probably add some information about the exception. So where we throw an exception. So this method throws an exception, but it doesn't handle the exception. So if I run the program and say put in some text, that throws a number format exception. So that information we can also sort of describe the exception that a method may throw. So we can say throws, we add this block tag and the name of exception and when. So if, oh God, got the mind. If the input is not a valid number. All right. So let's see how that changes our documentation comments. So initially, or let's see what additional information this can provide to our documentation comments. So I'm going to go to the location of this package, and then from the Windows Explorer, I'm going to type in CMD to run the command prompt from that location. And then let's use the JavaDoc tool to generate the documentation. It's pretty much saying this is the source where it's going to go into, which is a folder or a directory called docs. And then what is the name of our Java program that we want to generate the documentation comments for? That's dynamic menu.java. And I'm going to hit enter. So we do have a warning because we did not put a comment for our default constructor, which is fine for this demo. Let's double click on index and click on the dynamic menu and to see how the additional information was added. So we can see since, so that kind of information has been added. And the method we've added information or more block tags was the throws. So now we can see additional information to being added to our documentation saying what possible exceptions this method can throw. However, we notice that the version and the author details are not displayed here. And that's because we need to explicitly add these details when we are running our javadoc command. So we can actually demonstrate that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this one.